But now comes a question, if this Kuladhanam of Ram, Ikshvaku Kulam, was there in Ayodhya, it was worshipped by Ram and Sita, how did it come to south? Because there was a king called Dharmavarma in the south who wanted this Ikshvaku Dhanam. So he worshipped Bhagavan. He initially asked the king. The king said that he will not be in a position to give the Kuladhanam because nobody will be ready to give their family deity to some other person who is asked. So this Dharmavarma who asked the king in Ayodhya was dejected. He came back to south. He sat on a little rock called as Seshapeetham and he started doing a penance towards Bhagavan because he wanted that Vimanam, Pranavakara Vimanam along with Ranganath ji to come to south. At the same time, after the Yuddham of Ramayanam, Ram gives a present to each one of them. Indra presented a beautiful necklace to Sita. Sita, acquiring the permission of Ram, presented it to Hanuman because Hanuman was a person who had brought Ram and Sita together in Sundara Kandam by thoughts and in person in Yuddha Kandam. So she presented. At the same time, Vibhishana, who was one of the greatest devotees of Ram, helped Ram throughout the Yuddham, throughout the war. So Ram presented his family deity of Ranganath to Vibhishan. Vibhishan, who acquired this in Ayodhya, came down south because he had to reach Lanka. When he reached this Kaveri Tiram, that is on the banks of Kaveri, where the Dharmavarma Raja was performing his penance, he kept that idol with the tower called as Pranavakara Vimanam on that Seshapeetham. On the same Seshapeetham, Dharmavarma was conducting his penance because he wanted that Ikshvaku Kula Dhanam here to south. At the same time, Vibhishana placed that Ranganath ji along with the Sanctum Sanctorum along with that Pranavakara Vimanam on the Seshapeetham. While he did this and came back, he was surprised to find that the Pranavakara Vimanam did not move out of that Seshapeetham. Then Bhagavan said, Ranganath ji said that I will stay on the Seshapeetham and this island will be called as Srirangam and I will be looking towards you. If you see all the temples, 99.99% of the temples in India, in any state, they will all be facing east. At least the Moolamurti, the idol of the Bhagavan inside the temple will be facing east. If not east, they will be facing north. The first priority is east, second is north. If these two directions are not at all possible, then in certain temples they will be facing the west. But the only temple where the Lord is facing south is Srirangam. There Lord Ranganath is facing south. Why did he face south? Because as Ram he had given the family deity of Ranganath ji to Vibhishan. Vibhishan wanted to carry this to Lanka, but at the same time Bhagavan had to fulfill the promise of whatever he had made to Dharmavarma, that he would come to Seshapeetham. So he resided on the Seshapeetham, thus satisfying King Dharmavarma. At the same time he was facing south because towards south we have Lanka and in Lanka was Vibhishana. So at the same time he satisfied two people. Since he was facing south, he satisfied Vibhishana, and since he was staying on that Seshapeetham, he was satisfying the king Dharmavarma. So Muthuswami Dikshit mentions three important facts. He says that this Ranganath Mandir, that is this temple of Ranganath, this Sannidhi of Ranganath, has a Pranavakara Vimanam similar to that of Ayodhya. It is the deity inside this Vimanam, that is inside the Sanctum Sanctorum Sannidhi, which is Ranganath, was worshipped by Raghukula Nandan, that is nothing who was nobody other than Dasharatha Putra, that is Ramachandra. Third thing, he says that the Lord is facing south to bless his devotee Vibhishan. Ranganayakam bhavaye Ranganayaki sametam Shri Ranganayakam bhavaye Ranganayaki sametam Sriranganaayakam. Angaja tatamanantam. Angaja tatamanantamatitam. Ajendradhyamaranutam satatam. Uttungavihangaturangam kripapangam ramadarangam ranganayakam bhavayeham. Pranavakara divya vimanam. Pranavakara divya vimanam. Prahladi bhaktabhimanam. Ganapati samana vishwaksenam. Gajaturagapadadi senam. Dinamani kulabhava raghavaradanam. Mamaka videha mukti sadhanam. Manimaya sadanam sashivadanam. Hanipati shayanam padmanayanam. Aganita suguna gananata vibhishanam. Ghanatara kaustubhamani vibhushanam. Guni jana krita veda parayanam. Guru guhamudita narayanam. Shri Ranganayakam bhavayeham. Ranganayaki sametam. Shri Ranganayakam We have observed how beautifully the composer Muthuswami Dikshit has packed the appropriate words in this composition, Sri Ranganayakam. Amongst the many disciples whom Ramanujacharya had, the foremost among them was Kuresha. This Kuresha had two sons. One was Parashara Bhattaha, the other one was Vedavyasa Bhattaha. The son Parashara Bhatta was himself a disciple of Bhagavad Ramanujacharya. He composed a beautiful work on this lord called Ranganath of Srirangam. It is called Sri Rangarajastavam. It has two parts, Purva Shatakam and Uttara Shatakam. There in one of the hymns, one of the shlokas, he beautifully correlates. There is one shlokam, Kaveri Virajaseyam Vaikuntham Rangamandiram Savasudevo Rangeshah Pratyaksham Paramam Padam. Kaveri Virajaseyam. The river called Viraja which runs in Vaikuntham is no different from Kaveri which runs in Srirangam. Kaveri Virajaseyam. That Sri Vaikuntham which is above is no different from the Srirangam below. That Sri Vaikuntham is no different from the Srirangam below. Vaikuntham Rangamandiram Savasudevo Rangeshaha. That Lord who is inside Sri Vaikuntham is called Vasudevaha. That Vasudeva is no different from this Ranganatha who is inside Sri Rangam. Savasudevo Rangeshaha. When we know that the river Kaveri is the same river which runs in Sri Vaikuntham, when we know that the Sri Vaikuntham is similar to that of Sri Rangam, when we know that Vasudeva who is there in Sri Vaikuntham is the same as Ranganatha, this kshetram, this place, this Pavana Bhumi of Sri Rangam is nothing but Paramam Padam, is nothing but Sri Vaikuntham. Likewise, Parashara Bhatta in his composition called Sri Rangarajastavam beautifully describes this city of Sri Rangam as Aparajita Ayodhya. He describes how the Kuladhanam of Ikshvaku reached the hands of Ram, how the Kuladhanam of Ram reached the hands of Vibhishana, how the Kuladhanam of Ram which reached the hands of Vibhishana due to the penance of Dharmavarma Raja stayed in this Seshapeetham, which is an island formed by the river Kaveri, and hence the kshetram is called as Sri Rangam. He says, Adhiparama Padam Purim Ayodhyam Amritavrita Parajita Mushanti Pulinamupari Rangarajadhani Pishita Drishamapi Sa Puraskatasti Puraschakasti Pulinamupari Rangarajadhani. This capital of Sri Rangam is no different from Aparajita Ayodhya. We have seen that King Dasharatha, on the advice of his ministers and citizens of Ayodhya, wanted to coronate his son Ram. He informed this to Ram. Ram was neither excited nor was he upset. He accepted this command of his father and he immediately informed his wife Sita. Sita and Ram, on the advice of Kulaguru Vasishtha, observed that particular rule of sleeping on the darbha grass and then worshipping the Kula Dhanam, that is Narayan, who is in the form of Ranganath, under the Pranavakara Vimanam. This was happening on one hand. All the citizens of Ayodhya now started decorating their houses. They started decorating their streets. They started putting that beautiful designs on the floor. It is called as Rangoli. They started doing all that. Then they started tying all the mango leaves, because mango leaves, when tied together and hung before a house, it signifies that there is something auspicious which is happening. Though the auspicious thing was happening only in Dasharatha's house, all the citizens assumed that Ram was their family member. They all thought Ram was their son, and they started decorating their houses. They started showing off and exhibiting and showcasing all signs of auspiciousness, be it hanging that particular string of mango leaves or having rangoli on the floor. They started observing all this. When this was happening on one hand, Dasharatha summoned his charioteer. Though Sumantra was the chariot to Dasharatha, Dasharatha regarded Sumantra as his friend. He called Sumantra, and Dasharatha always had the habit of confiding whatever he felt to his friend, who was none other than his charioteer Sumantra. He said, "Dear Sumantra, you may be wondering why all of a sudden the king has chosen Ram as the eldest son and the coronation is happening all of a sudden. Actually, when I consulted the astrologers, they gave me some reasons, and the reason was, in Ram's horoscope, the sun and Angaraka and Rahu, they are all arising at the same time. So I feel, due to astrological reasons, I feel that I can coronate my son Ram." Avashtadham cha me Rama nakshatram darunagrahaihi avedayanti devagya surya angarakarahubihi. But when Dasharatha gave this reason, Sumantra felt that this could not be the true reason. This could be a reason, but this could not be the main reason why my friend Dasharatha, King Dasharatha, is coronating Ram as the king all of a sudden. Ram was the legal heir. He was the one who had to become the king. There is no doubt about it. And there was no doubt in Sumantra that Ram could be the best administrator which Ikshvaku dynasty had ever seen. The doubt did not arise because of that. The doubt was, why Dasharatha is doing everything in such an urgency? Why does he want to complete the coronation in a day or two? So Dasharatha gave this astrological reason, but Sumantra was not convinced with it. While we are going to the other reason, we should also see what has happened to Bharata and Shatrughna. All this while in Ayodhya Kandam, we have just seen Ram's attitude towards elders. We have seen Sita's attitude towards her father and her father-in-law. We have seen how with the advice given by his ministers and the citizens, Dasharatha decided to coronate Ram as the king. We have also seen how Ram accepted this and how he observed the rites and rituals that were told by his Kula Guru Vasishta. We have just seen this. We have never seen what is the role of Bharata and Lakshmana after Sita's marriage. There, Valmiki says immediately after the marriage, Bharata and Shatrughna left to Bharata's uncle's house, which was in Kekeya Desham. So both of them went there. Though Bharata and Shatrughna were away from Ram and Lakshman, in no way should a doubt arise whether Ram and Lakshman were against Bharata and Shatrughna. All four of them were equally attached. But a percentage of attachment of Shatrughna towards Bharata was more. Likewise, a percentage of attachment by Lakshmana towards Ram was more. It is only that there in no way there is a huge crack between them. Moreover, we should realize Dasharatha was such an able administrator. He was a king who could ride his chariot, who could drive his chariot in all the 10 directions at the same time, due to which he was called Dasharatha. He was such an able administrator. He had ruled for 60,000 years. He had managed all his wives in such a nice manner, due to the grace of all the rishis, he could perform a yajnam, at the end of which he was blessed with payasam, and because of the payasam which his wives consumed, they gave birth to the most valorous and the best sons on earth, who were Rama, Bharata, Lakshmana, Shatrughna. But that king who had fixed a date of coronation, he wanted to coronate his son Ram as the king. All the citizens, all the ministers agreed. They were all very glad. But you know very well that in this Srimad Ramayanam, this coronation does not happen. In turn, Ram, who was to become the king of Ayodhya, doesn't become. He goes to the forest along with Lakshmana and Sita. Why did this happen? Dasharatha, who was such an able administrator, who was such a great strategist, had strategized and analyzed that Ram should be the king, and he had fixed a date for this coronation as such, so and so. But the coronation did not happen. Why did it not happen? Why did the date which was fixed by such a great strategist and an administrator like King Dasharatha fail? Here we should know what is apacharam. In this world, we may be the learned people. We may have done the best of graduation, post-graduation and research. The entire city, the entire nation, the entire world may acknowledge this knowledge of us by giving us the best of the awards. This is on one hand. But according to philosophy, according to our Sanatana Dharmam, according to Hinduism, according to the ways that have been promulgated by the great Jagadacharya Bhagavat Sri Ramanujacharya, then followed by Swami Vedanta Deshika, how much ever you learn, how much ever you are experienced, how much ever you are respected, it will be nothing but a worthless bubble when you commit an apacharam, when you commit a mistake against a great devotee of the Lord. Even if you try committing a mistake against the God, the Supreme Person, He can tolerate it. Whereas when you commit a apacharam, when you commit a mistake against His devotee, towards Bhagavan it is acceptable. But towards a Bhagavata who is the devotee to that Bhagavan, Bhagavan does not relish it, and He in turn punishes him. We might have noticed, see, on normal days, for example, during the period between April to June, there is summer season. Though it may be varying by a few days, throughout India, this is generally the summer season. On a street, at 12 noon in the afternoon during summer season, 12 noon in the afternoon, imagine there are no trees on the road and we are going to walk. There are two things which we need. One is our hat, the cap, and the other is our footwear. These are the two things which we should carry, which we should possess during summer season. Imagine that we have a choice to go without one. We have got only one. Somebody says, I can give you a cap or I can give you your footwear. Which can we choose? If we choose our cap, imagine that we are carrying our cap, we put it on our head and then we walk. Can we walk on those streets? The streets will be burning like a heated pan and we cannot manage that, and we'll start, whether we have learned dance or not, we will start dancing and we will learn Bharatanatyam there. we will start dancing because we cannot tolerate the heat. In turn, the person who gives us says, you may not take the hat, you can take the footwear. We put the footwear, we put our slippers or sandals and we start walking on the street. Can we walk? Yes, we can walk. We won't start dancing. Though we may feel a lot of heat which is hitting on our heads, we will still not feel that much of a suffering what we had without the footwear. We can walk without a cap, but we cannot walk without our footwear. But if you observe, whatever is happening, it is contrary. What are we finding during summer season? That is, the intensity of the sun's rays is very high. The intensity of the sun's rays is so high that we are using a cap and a footwear. But the sun's rays which reach our head come directly. The sun's rays come directly and fall on our heads. Whereas the sun's rays don't reach our foot directly. They reach the earth gets heated up. When we walk on that earth barefooted only, we find the heat. So the heat of the sun's rays reaches our head directly, whereas when it reaches our foot, it reaches through a medium like earth. Likewise, we are not able to bear the heat which is given to us indirectly by the sun. The sun's rays which reach our foot don't come directly, they first heat the earth. The heated earth in turn gives the heat to us. So we are not able to bear the heat which is given indirectly to us by the sun. Whereas we can bear the heat which comes directly on our heads from the sun. So the direct emission of sun's rays on our head is bearable. Whereas the intensity of the sun's rays which reaches our foot through an indirect medium like earth is not acceptable. This is to indicate that if a Bhagavan, if our Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Srimad Narayan, wants to test our devotion, He is the sun. And if He wants to test, it is like the sun's rays which reaches our head. We can bear. Whereas if you try to instigate and provoke a devotee of Bhagavan, who is none other than the earth, the testing what a devotee gives to us is unbearable. We can even bear Bhagavan's anger, but we can never bear a Bhagavata's anger. But the beauty is, a Bhagavata will never get angry. Whenever you are the devotee of Bhagavan, whenever you are the devotee of Supreme Personality of Godhead, there will be no situation where you will have Rajogunam or Tamogunam. There will only be Sattvagunam. Sattvagunam is something where you will have only purity of mind in action and you will have peace. You won't have anger nor laziness. Whereas Rajogunam and Tamogunam are the other two gunams where you may get angry or where you may feel lazy. Whenever you are called a Bhagavata, whenever you are called the devotee of Bhagavan, there is no question arising whether you will have Tamogunam or Rajogunam. You will have only Sattvagunam. You will have only peace. So whenever we provoke or instigate a Bhagavata, a devotee, the Bhagavata won't get angry at us. But when we have provoked and instigated, insulted and embarrassed a devotee, a Bhagavata, the Bhagavan gets angry on us. So when Bhagavan gets angry on us because we have insulted a Bhagavata, we can never ever go to any temple, bathe in any tank. You can never compromise or compensate and search for a apacharam. For this apacharam what you have done, there is no prayaschittam. There can be nothing which can be counteracted or counter-performed. So I am telling you all this because King Dasharatha, though he was a very good administrator, he wanted to confide in his charioteer and friend Sumantra that the reason for coronating Ram all of a sudden so urgently, bringing the date of coronation so close, is not only the astrological reason. Now he commits a Bhagavata apacharam. You say prejudice, right? What is prejudice? When you have likes or dislikes against a person without any reason. Whenever we talk amongst our relatives or friends, we say that we hate or like a person. If they ask, why do you like or hate that person? We say, we don't have a reason. Just like that, I like or hate that person. So this is called prejudice. Dasharatha had a prejudice mind. Without any reason, he told Sumantra, hey Sumantra, I will tell you the real reason why I am performing Ram's coronation so urgently. You know why? Because Bharata and Shatrughna are in their maternal uncle's house. Before they come, I want to perform the coronation of Ram. I do not know how Bharata will react if Bharata is present in Ram's coronation, I do not know if Kaikeyi's son Bharata may oppose it. I do not know if Bharata also wants to become the king. That is why I am doing this urgently. He says, Bhavanti bahu vignani karyanyevam vidhanihi viproshitascha bharato yavadeva puraditaha tavadevabhishekaste pratakale mato mama kim nu chittam manushyanam anityamiti me matam anityamiti me matam anityamiti me matam. We can never trust the human behavior, Sumantra. My son Bharata may oppose the coronation of Ram. That is why, to be on the safer side, before my sons Bharata and Shatrughna could come, I want to perform this coronation of Ram. To us, it may seem that Dasharatha has thought rightly of coronating Ram in the absence of Bharata and Shatrughna. But according to our Purvacharyas, this is the hugest Bhagavata Apacharam. This is the hugest mistake and crime that Dasharatha had committed in his entire life. Even they are ready to forgive whatever he committed with that Shravana Kumar. With Shravana Kumar, he shot an arrow called Shabdavanti, where he shot an arrow thinking that the elephants have come to drink water. And when he went and saw in the spot, it was this Brahmin boy who was dead. It was an apacharam, but it was forgivable because Dasharatha did not do it wantedly. He had done it inadvertently. He did not know. Whereas here, trying to find a fault or doubting your own son Bharata when he has not done anything bad at all in his life is the hugest apacharam which Dasharatha had committed. That is why Ramanujacharya in his Sharanagati says, Manovakkayehi anadikala pravrittananta akritya karana kritya akarana bhagavat apachara bhagavata apachara asahya apachara rupa nana vidhananta apacharan arabdhakaryan anarabdhakaryan kritan kriyamanan karishyamanaamscha sarvan aseshataha kshamasva. Ramanujacharya, he had committed no mistake in his life. We are the people who are all Ahamasme Aparadha Chakravarti. We are all the kings in committing all kinds of crimes and sins. But we never ask for Aparadha Kshamanam. We never go before the Lord and say that please forgive my sins. But people like Ramanujacharya who do not know the meaning of sin also, they will go and seek forgiveness from Bhagavan. Why do they go? They go on the behalf of us. So he went before the Divya Dampati, Lakshmi and Narayan, and he stood before the Divya Dampati and said, I have committed a lot of Bhagavat Apacharam. I have said a lot against you, Bhagavan. Bhagavata Apacharam. I have said a lot of things against your Bhagavatas, your devotees. I have done things which you have said that people should not do. I have also not done things which you have said that people should do. These are two things. Kritya Akaranam, Akritya Karanam. That means Bhagavan has said that you should not do certain things. We are all people who will do only those things. Likewise, Bhagavan has said, do these things. We will not do those things. If he has said, do Sandhya Vandhanam, we never do. If he says that don't lie, we will lie. So, Ramanujacharya never had this habit, but on behalf of us, he says, Akritya Karanam, Kritya Akaranam. I have done Bhagavata Apacharam. I have insulted you, O Bhagavan. Bhagavata Apacharam. I have insulted all your devotees. Kritya Akaranam, Akritya Karanam. I have done all those things which you have asked us not to do. I have also not done those things which you have asked us to do. So for all these things, please forgive us. In the sense, he is asking to forgive us. When he says forgive me, kshamasva, it doesn't mean he is asking kshamanam, that is forgiveness only for him. He is putting all the jivatmas into that category and he is in turn asking forgivings from Bhagavan. Why does he mention Bhagavata Apacharam there when he has not committed any? Because even without our knowledge, we may think ill of others. We may even do ill to others. So this is the thing which brings or instigates the anger of Bhagavan. But King Dasharatha, who had to view all his sons, Rama, Bharata, Lakshmana, Shatrughna on the same platform, viewed Rama to such an extent that he had a prejudice in his mind that Bharata may stop the coronation of Ram. It is for that reason, it is for having unnecessarily doubted a great devotee like Bharata, that the date which was fixed for coronation of Ram by a great administrator like Dasharatha did not happen. So when a question like why the first coronation date which was fixed by a great person like Dasharatha failed, it was because he thought or unnecessarily doubted a great Bhagavata, a great devotee like Bharata, devotee like Bharata, devotee like Bharata, devotee like